This week, we're going to talk about portion control and exercise. So we'll be touching on both aspects of your nutrition that you can improve with some portion control and ways to increase activity in your daily life. My name's Jenny Tackett, and I'm a registered dietitian with Rock Valley Health. So there's a very strong correlation between the increase in body weight in the United States and the increase in food portions. If you dine out at all, you've probably noticed that the amount of food that we're given at restaurants is very large. Even looking at individual items like muffins or bagels, over time, they are larger and larger when we're eating out. In general, people tend to clean their plates and eat most of what's put in front of us. Therefore, it is a risk factor that you're going to gain weight if you eat out on a regular basis. This increase in portion sizes began in the 1980s, and on average, people gained about 8 pounds over that decade. So supersized items, you can see between 1960 and 1980, a large soda was 16 ounces. Today, it's 32 ounces. They make glass cups at fast food restaurants that will fit into drink holders that are very, very large and then come down into a smaller size, which is truly what a glass or cup should be the size of. Of course, things like king-size candy bars, supersized large fries. I mentioned muffins, bagels, cookies. All of those are 2 or more times the size that they were back in the 1960s through 1980. Here's an example of calorie-wise. So a recommended size for a muffin is 2 ounces. And if you have a regular muffin tin, they do sell larger muffin tins even, but if you just get the regular one, that would make a 2-ounce muffin, which is around 200 calories. Cafe muffins truly are 4 or more hundred calories and really resemble the portion size more of a large piece of cake. Pancakes, 3 small pancakes is about 240 calories. What we're served at a restaurant is over 600 calories. A tuna sandwich, normally 2 slices of bread, 2 to 3 ounces of tuna, about 340 calories. Double that at restaurants. So here you can see that like a half of a sandwich, like a pick 2 option, or taking the sandwich, half of it home for a later date and eating half of it at that meal would help with cutting back into the recommended serving. Lasagna, just 1 cup portions, around 400 calories. Most restaurants serve a very large 2-cup portion. So things that you can do, you can measure your food at home, and here's a picture of measuring cups, things like measuring cups and measuring spoons. You can buy those at the dollar store. You can learn what, 3/4 cup of cereal looks like, or half a cup of rice or pasta. You can get a scale and see what 3 ounces of meat looks like. You can also buy smaller individualized portions of things, individualized yogurts, crackers, or you can even just make your own individualized snacks. So if you do buy things like crackers or chips or nuts, other snack items, you can, buy the little snack baggies, and you can count out what a portion is and put those in a number of different bags, put them back into the box, and that will encourage you to have some portion control. It also helps just to eat off of smaller plates or out of smaller bowls. Many of the plates and bowls that are sold now are very large, and they really promote overeating. I mentioned doing like a pick 2 option. Some restaurants have lunch portions or half orders. If you're with someone who eats similar to you, you can share an entree as well or take some home. But remember, you shouldn't clean your plate at restaurants. Either leave some of it or get a take-home container. I like to get a take-home container early in the meal, put part of the meal in there, and then set it off to the side so that I'm not tempted to keep eating from that plate. I mentioned a scale. You can also just compare meat to a deck of cards, which is about 3-ounce size portion. So, for example, half of a chicken breast would be 3 ounces. And that's a pretty good rule of thumb when you're trying to lose weight, around 3 ounces of meat or protein at lunch and dinner. Your fist can be used as an example, like if you're dining out and you obviously don't have your measuring cups, 1 fist is about a cup. So for things like spaghetti or pastas, cereals, rice, you'd want to keep it to a fist or less. Vegetables, you could have multiple fists worth of vegetables because they're going to be very low calorie. Fruit, about a cup would be a good amount at a meal, so about a fist worth. A palm, so if you look at your palm, now people's palms vary, but oftentimes a larger person can have a little bit more calories and still lose weight. So if you look at your palm, that's about a 3-ounce serving. Now that's not including your fingers or thumb, just your actual palm. It's about 2 to 3 ounces. And then your tip of your thumb is about a teaspoon. So when using things like peanut butter, mayonnaise, butter, trying to use less and spread it thin, not using multiple butter containers as you see in this picture, but kind of limiting it to a teaspoon spread thin. For snack foods, things like chips and pretzels, 2 handfuls is going to be about an ounce, and sometimes the package will tell you, based on ounces. Things like nuts and candies, 1 handful will be an ounce because they're heavier. Nuts are certainly a high-calorie food, and candies. Nuts have healthy aspects to them, things like magnesium and fiber and healthy oils, so they're worthwhile to have in the diet, but you really want to limit the amount. So the next topic, so talking about portion control is important to help limit your calories so you're not overdoing the calories, and then exercise is important for a number of reasons. Exercise is defined as a planned, repetitive, and continuous action for a minimum of 10 minutes, which results in an elevated heart rate. So, just doing something for just a minute doesn't, necessarily make a difference, but even just 10 minutes of exercise, such as going for a brisk walk. I like to take a break in the afternoon at work and go up and down the stairs for about 10 minutes to get, some stairs and some exercise during the day without going far from my desk. But to develop an exercise plan that fits your needs, you can follow the acronym FIT, F-I-T-T. F stands for frequency, or how often. So look at your calendar. If you don't exercise at all right now, maybe 2 days a week will be your goal. If you already exercise 4 days a week, but you want to do more, then 5 or 6 days may be realistic. And some things that can help would be, one thing I do is mark sessions on my calendar. So I actually put it on there. I feel very guilty if I skip it, if it's actually on that calendar. And I use Google Calendar, which I can see on my phone, and it sends me a reminder to go work out. I also like to work out in the morning. Everyone's different as far as when they like to exercise, but I will set out my workout attire as you see in this picture. When I work out in the afternoon, which isn't my favorite, I like to invite other people. So for example, my daughter's an ice skater and she skates a lot in the afternoon, so I have a standing date with a friend and we meet and run or work out at the gym on Wednesday afternoon. So that's a way to ensure that I'll get a workout in that wouldn't be my favorite time. Whereas in the morning, I'm much more willing to go on my own because that's when I like to exercise. So frequency, looking at how often you exercise. And then intensity, how hard. And there you can monitor your heart rate. I use a Garmin, which monitors my heart rate, but if you don't have something like that, if you're on equipment such as an elliptical or a treadmill, oftentimes they'll have a heart rate monitor. You can also determine your maximum heart rate. If you take your age and multiply that number by 0.7 and then subtract that from 208, that is your maximum heart rate that you should obtain. You don't want to get above that. Then you take that number in half or multiply it by 0.5 and then take a range where you multiply it by 0.7, and that's your 50 to 70% maximum heart rate to really make sure you're getting intensity. So if you would just very slowly go for a walk around the neighborhood, let's say you're walking a dog that doesn't go very fast and you're not getting your heart rate up, you're not really getting intensity in your workout, which will allow you to burn more calories. So instead, if you'd walk briskly, like when I do the stairs, that gets my heart rate up for 10 minutes. Doing things like that will help you get more out of your workout. And then how long? And here, if you're doing something more intense, like when I do the stairs, I do just 10 minutes. But if I did a brisk walk, I could do much longer than that. So it kind of depends. When you're doing something more intense, you can do less time. And then if you're doing something a little less intense, you would need to have a little more time. But this is individual for everyone. If you haven't exercised more than 15 minutes before, maybe you try to get in 20 minutes. So you kind of ease yourself up gradually. And then the different kinds of exercise, there's muscular strength where you're doing some sort of resistance, whether it's body weight, bands, free weights, machines. There's muscular endurance where you're going for longer distances or longer time. There's cardiovascular where you're getting your heart rate up and you're improving your heart function. And then flexibility is also important as well, where you're stretching your muscles when they're warm, whether it's after an exercise or in the shower, to keep that mobility. The best kind of exercise is something that you will enjoy and something that you will do. So it's different for everyone. It's just like the best time of day. When are you willing to do it, and when can you most likely get it in the most consistently? So think about those things and have a great day.